Hi everyone, I just wanted to share with you some of the tips and things that helped me when I was looking to start quitting sugar and what helped me to get started, what motivated me. So I decided I wanted to cut back on sugar because of a family history of type 2 diabetes. So my nan, my grandpa, my granddad and my dad, so both my grandparents on my dad's side all got late onset diabetes, so basically type 2 diabetes when they were older, and ended up on numerous medications, especially my dad because he had other conditions as well, and eventually, you know, they were all on insulin, having to inject insulin, and that was just something that I didn't want for myself. I put my hands up and completely admit that I did used to be absolutely addicted to sugary stuff, sugary foods and snacks. One of my favourite things was if I went to the cinema, I would be straight for the pick and mix. Some people choose to cut sugar out of their life absolutely completely, and that includes fruit and anything containing sugar, and that is definitely a personal preference. For me, it's not something and not the route I wanted to go down. I just knew that I wanted to cut back on sugar, especially mainly the refined sugar. So for me, I found healthier sugar alternatives and will replace sugary foods or snacks with fruit or something I made myself, like homemade raw chocolate or energy balls. And those two items especially were some things that really helped me when I first got started. And there's a couple of recipe links below if you want to have a look yourself at those recipes. Some foods are obvious that they're full of sugar, like cookies, cakes, you know, we all know those sorts of foods, but there's other foods that are some popular shop bought items that actually contain a lot of hidden sugars. For example, one of the things that shocked me the most was some of the spice mixes you can get, like fajita mixes. You'd think it would just be sort of different spices mixed in there to make that flavour, but when I looked at the back of the packet, I noticed that sugar was the first item listed on the ingredients label, which to me was such a shock. So that's one thing that I really now am really careful and learn to read the ingredients when I'm checking and buying new things. Something I've put together that could help you is my sugar-free supermarket sweep. So you can get a link, there's a link for you to download it, it's free to download, and it's just a helpful checklist that you can print off and take to the supermarket. It helps you learn how to read ingredients, what to look out for, some of the most popular foods that contain hidden sugars and healthier alternatives to that. I've never been a dieter, so when it came to cutting back on sugar, I was worried because I didn't want to restrict, because I've seen what sort of restriction can do to people who follow diets and then they can end up binging. I wanted to really create a lifestyle change. So these are some of the things that I did to help me cut back sugar. Number one, and the one that I still follow a lot today, is I didn't think about cutting out sugary foods, I just thought about crowding out. So instead of thinking what I couldn't eat, I was replacing sugary snacks with healthier alternatives, like I mentioned earlier, like the energy balls or a piece of fruit, which really helped me. It changed my taste buds so that sugary food started to taste too sweet to me, but also I was still getting that, you know, sweet taste, but I knew that I was getting a lot of other fibre and minerals and vitamins within that treat as well. Number two, I had my why. So I mention having a why as your motivation quite a lot, but I think it is one of the most important things, because if you don't have that, then you can lose that motivation to keep going and it's very easy to give up. So my why, as I mentioned at the beginning, was that I didn't want to follow the pattern of my family history of type 2 diabetes, and it's something, having learned that can be a lifestyle disease, it's something that I really wanted to try my best to reduce my risk of getting that as I got older. Number three, I started then replacing sugary foods and sugary snacks with more savoury snacks. So I'd often make sort of homemade popcorn, because again the shop bought popcorn is filled with sugar. So I started making things like that, and also roasted nuts with spices and herbs on, things that were more savoury, sort of taking away that sugar element altogether. Number four, I started to eat more vegetables. So I'd fill my plate, almost half of my plate with vegetables, and also try and add vegetables to most meals. Sort of even breakfast, I'd start introducing sort of spinach and mushrooms to sort of, you know, help again crowd out those sugary cravings. Number five, I started to learn to read nutrition labels. So as I mentioned earlier, I started paying attention, especially if it was something new that I was buying, if it was something packaged. Obviously, buying whole and natural foods you know, like fruit and vegetables and meat. If you do eat meat, you know, that's a completely different ball game. But when you're buying packaged foods, I just started to read the ingredients on the back and knew that you know, what to look out for and what to avoid. Number 6, I started avoiding low calorie and low fat foods, because to replace the flavour of the fat they've taken out, they'll often have a lot of sweeteners, artificial sweeteners, sugars in there to replace that flavour. Cutting back on sugar is a journey. It can be difficult at times depending how much sugar you're used to consuming, but taking small steps and just being kind to yourself and not feeling like if you have a piece of birthday cake at a party that you've fallen off the wagon, but it's finding what works for you and finding, you know, how to adapt it for your life to create a lifestyle change. So be kind to yourself along the way and just know that taking small steps can get you to where you want to get to.